Okay, we are live, but it's making me log into Twitter again. So just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Just a little technical issue here.
No worries. We've got a lot of exciting stuff for you today. Got crypto, got mindset. Check out this background right here. Boatski TV. Learn, invest, and build. How about that, guys? Boatski, Sebastian's got his 10x hat on.
I do.
We're going to bring you some wisdom from Grant Cardone. We're going to bring you some wisdom from the brains of Sebastian and Dalton. And man, we've been working so hard on this. Sebastian's over there plugging away, making sure that everything's incredible for you guys as you guys are viewing the podcast. We are got so many events coming up. We got XRP Vegas coming up here in about a month. Sebastian has done such an incredible job of getting people together. My shout out to my brother Austin, and shout out to everybody in the XRP space for collaborating with us to put everything together. We got live events happening, some private events that we're going to talk about.
I opened something on Streamlabs and it completely changed the scene. I freaked out for a second. Okay, we're all good. Everything's good and optimized now. I don't mean to interrupt you there. Hey, before you get ahead of yourself, Dalton, this is my partner, Dalton Rios. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit so you can tell people a little bit, let people know who you are and maybe a little bit of your background, how you got, you should be the one wearing this hat. You're the 10X coach. But I really love 10X and I love everything that Grant Cardone does and his team does. And that's actually how I met Dalton. So Dalton, why don't you take it away and tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how you got here.
Absolutely, brother. Well, hey, you know what? I'm a spirit having a human experience. Just kidding, just kidding.
He's not a spirit. He's not real.
Yeah. I'm a compassionate, loving soul. I like moonlit walks on the beach.
So,
No.
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I'll put that aside for a second, even though that's true. I have been in partnership with Sebastian. We met at Grant Cardone. If you guys don't know who he is, Grant Cardone is an incredible business entrepreneur. He's been able to make the first purchase for multifamily homes with Bitcoin. So this is what's relevant to this space is figuring out how can we combine what we know as business with Bitcoin and entrepreneurship. So I'm a certified Grant Cardone 10X business coach. And so this is one of the aspects of what I do that can help benefit in this space. I also have a spiritually based self-empowerment system called the Sovereign Architect. And I help people return to peace and love with themselves to create better relationships within their own family. I work with a lot of high-level entrepreneurs, which is uh, primarily who I like to focus with because, hey guys, people in the 10X space, people in the crypto space, people in the entrepreneurial world, there's so much that responsibility that we take. And one of my primary objectives is to take aspects of responsibility that seem hard and make them easy. And I'm in chiropractic school, so I'm also involved in lots of holistic health with functional medicine. I've been working with chiropractors for nearly a decade now. And so I'm looking to bring nervous system health and mindset, looking to shift identity of how we perceive ourselves to be able to quote unquote 10x our ability to live the life that we want with peace and not overwhelm. So really this is my mission in life. And I've got the Chiropractic Message podcast for all of us who want to be healthy and figure out, man, what are the resources we have to have healthy bodies, have healthy relationships with spirituality and God, have healthy mindset to be able to have our spiritual inheritance. This isn't a religious thing, but just like understanding that we have the power to create whatever it is that we want. So This is more of the professional version of what I'm bringing to the table, looking to speak and on stages. I have some events coming up here for that. So, um, how about you? Let's get you in here. Let's get you in here. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so most of you guys do know me as Boatsky. I've been kind of around the XRPL space for a while, and but I've been posting media and content and music stuff for ages, for almost decades now, which is kind of sad to say. When you think about it, you're like, wow, has it really been decades since we started all this? My original background is in opera. I did an opera, I did a music degree and an astrophysics degree in my bachelor's, and then ended up getting a doctorate in vocal performance pedagogy and literature. Published a bunch of papers and was singing opera all over the world and teaching, and COVID kind of killed it, so I pivoted. And I've been doing, I actually had a vocal consulting business as well at the time of COVID. And that kind of just changed the landscape for many professions. So we all pivoted, basically. People worked at home. I know a lot of opera singers that just totally dropped singing completely, became salesmen, became whatever. And I got really intrigued and really curious about the crypto world during COVID, because I'd always heard rumors about Bitcoin and everything. And then when I really delved into it, I realized how revolutionary and how inevitable moving in this direction is. And I wanted to be a part of it, really, truly. I wanted to be a part of it. And I discovered the XRP community and realized that they were, in essence, my spirit animal. They were a very welcoming, very supportive community that wasn't the stuff you see elsewhere on the internet, where people are scamming people and pulling the wool over people's eyes and trying to steal their money and just trying to push everyone down for their own benefit. It really was just a unifying community, and I got really excited about joining that. And I wanted to use my skills to be able to contribute to it. In my pivot from opera, I wanted to invest and be more savvy, because savvy with money and investing and thinking of my future and assets and all that sort of stuff. Because in music, you're basically going paycheck to paycheck. You're covering your foot in your own bill in opera too, flying places to sing, and just hoping that you don't get sick. This is one thing that people probably don't realize, is that even if you rehearse for 2 months, if you get sick and you can't do one of the shows, you don't get paid for that time that you spent there. So there's a lot of pressure to stay healthy, to be perfect. There's always someone in the wings waiting to kick you out. Always somebody better than you waiting to take the stage, right? And in that process, at the time I joined and got curious about the XRP community, my dad got sick and he ended up passing away. And he ran the family acupuncture business. So that left me in a position where mom didn't really know technology too well. Dad ran all the books. Dad ran everything. So I kind of stepped into running the business, and I don't really know how to run a health business. I know how to be an entrepreneur and how to do my marketing and how to do my fundraising and all that sort of stuff. But when it came to like a brick and mortar operational business, I didn't really know much. So I was searching and scouring the web, trying to figure out resources and whatever. And that's when I discovered 10X. I've always heard about Grant Cardone. I've always seen him and whatever, but I decided, you know what, I need some help. I'm going to go to this business summit just to understand more about sales, more about marketing, just to get to figure out if I'm on the right track of what I'm already doing, and maybe learn something new at the same time. And I'm so happy I did that, because that's where I'm at Dalton. And it's been a very fruitful partnership since. We both, I think the first time we had a conversation, Dalton, on the phone, and actually crazy connection. Sorry, I got to interrupt myself. And that you are the brother of the guy that I was already working with on a crypto project on Money Grabbers. So, yeah. and he's the one who told me, hey, my brother does this 10X stuff. And I think he was there at that conference. I said, what? And then it turned out that I had met you there, and everything clicked. And so everything was very serendipitous how we came together. And Oh, no, I interrupted myself here, but I wanted to reaffirm everything that I was doing business wise, and that's kind of how I met you. Went to that conference,
Right.
and it was one of the most inspiring things that I've been a part of, and we connected. Oh, that's what I was saying. The first time we talked on the phone, I think it was like a 2 hour conversation
Yeah,
about just
yeah,
like all kinds of topics, and then we're like, hey, there might be something here. Like maybe we should partner up and do something.
yeah, totally.
Because we both have skills that really complement each other, and that's where we kind of came up with, well, this 10x stuff is so good for brick and mortars and everything. Why don't we do something for the crypto community that incorporates some of that business savvy mindset with sales and marketing and being able to optimize and automate everything and put it into the crypto space? Because I really felt that there was a lack of organization, and there is still a lack of organization of thinking of these projects like businesses, thinking of them as real life entities that are making a huge impact, not just this digital thing um, that is kind of there but isn't. And for a long time, people wanted to be anonymous. They didn't want to be associated with stuff. They were afraid of getting doxxed and harassed and whatever at their real job or their real house. And I think we're coming where we've come to a point where that's changing, and people are now embracing this transparency, and it's very necessary. If you want to be able to trust a product, trust a business, you need to know who's running the show. I guess this is the elusive nature of Bitcoin, is we don't know who Satoshi is, right? There's all these rumors, but we never really will know who he is. And I think maybe that's where it stemmed from, that, oh, we're in crypto, we need to be anonymous,
Right.
keep a mystique or whatever, or protect our identities. But in reality, if you want to make profit, if you want to have an impact, people need to know who you are. They need to know what your message is,
Yeah,
and they need to know what you stand for, and what you're offering value wise.
right. Which is
But
why we had such an incredible connection
yeah,
in creating this business of understanding. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're fine.
Uh, yeah, I think it's like this is the coolest part about why we are so connected, because not only are we bringing a level of excellence in business and cryptocurrency, but we are also coming from a place of health as an individual. Health meaning, like, how do we create better relationships with ourselves to go out and have a contribution in the world? Like, most of the people who are in crypto aren't doing it full time. People invest in crypto. And there are people who do that, but like a lot of independent business owners are involved in cryptocurrency. And so what's unique about what we're doing is we're integrating nervous system function and how do we maximize our brain's ability to create peace within our body, to create love and connection with the community, the XRP community specifically. Not that it's limited, but this is where we're starting. And how do we also just integrate like a healthy spiritual foundation into what we bring to our clients and our team? You know, like what is it that we're bringing that's different from everyone else? You know, we're purpose driven. We're coming from a place of like we're not married to the dollars and the cents as this resource that is filling something. We're showing like the lifestyle that we are choosing. How do we attach the money and the lifestyle we want? When really it's like when we just focus on delivering excellence, the money becomes automatic. And this is like such an incredible
Exactly.
mindset for us to have moving forward.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I always thought that motto was kind of BS. Um, being an opera singer, going sort of paycheck to paycheck, kind of like, I mean, it wasn't like $100 to $100. Like, they were good paychecks, but it was like, okay, what's my next gig? you know Very stressful way to live, right? And
Totally.
this is where it starts from. I'm so glad that you said that, creating peace and harmony in your body, because that falls into this. If you live, if you're doing what you love, and you're doing what you believe, that the money will be there. This is very, very true, but it won't be true if you're stressed out. Because if you're constantly stressed out and in anxiety about it, about your life, about what you're doing, you're going to make emotionally impulsive decisions. You are probably going to be unsuccessful because you're going to start doing things out of desperation because you don't have a plan. And
Yeah,
this is
it's
the
not
one thing that we
abundant.
took. Yeah, this is the one thing that we talk about in mindset, and I'm gonna let you kick this off here. Is that how really do we approach starting from scratch, being in the middle of the muck and wanting to reset, feeling like your project or your business is having really hard times,
Yeah,
and you're fearing bills, you're fearing what will my partner think, you're fearing, well, what will I do next? You like in your mind, oftentimes we've already given up on the venture even when it starts failing. It's not,
right,
well, how do I fix the problem? It's, oh my gosh, what am I going to do when this fails? you
right,
know so
right.
how do we reset that mindset? What are the important things to keep track of and to consider? I just noticed that my audio, I think, is clipping a little bit here. I want to bring it down. Oh, no, no, it's good. So how do we reset that mindset? What are the things we need to focus on? Is there a step-by-step process to do it? And then how can we apply that into our business after we've done that? Because like you said, it's important. You got to do it with your life and yourself first. If you don't have the
Absolutely.
right mindset, even if you have a incredibly successful business, you will find a way to sabotage that business, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely. Well, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is having comfort, taking responsibility to go define what it is that we want. In the 10x system, we always start with targets. We have a wheel of a process wheel. There's 7 steps. The first step is setting goals and targets. So you could apply this to any aspect of your life. If you go, wow, okay, I have 10 things that are important to me. Um, Defining what those 10 things are, or going, well, really, it's 7, and I thought it was 10, but really it's 7. It's like taking radical responsibility is the path to peace, presence, and purpose. And this is what I created with my system, where how do we start that identification process? It's easy to be like, I'm stressed and overwhelmed, but uh, the maybe more challenging part is going, I don't want to feel this anymore. You know what I mean? Like that, the challenging part isn't to like identify if you're stressed and overwhelmed. Like that's just seemingly easy. Like, fuck, I don't know. I don't know how I can do this. But then just choosing, all right, well, I want to do this, and so then getting clear on the targets. Um, if you have 10 things that are important to you, and the next step would to be to commit to all 10 things. Part of stress comes from feeling like we're not good enough, or feeling like, maybe there's a part of our relationships that are stressing us out, and that energy, we're not aware that we're bringing that energy into something that's more professional. So the 10 things that are important to us, like an example would be for me, like I'm in chiropractic school right now. I also was in 10x business certification school. I also am in a rock and roll band. I also have my own business. I just started a new relationship. I go to the gym all the time. I just moved into a new place and I'm building a community. So we just started this project. So, like, there are many things that I am involved in that are important to me. And when I first started this endeavor, I was trying to, let's say, out of the 10 things that were important to me, I was picking like a top 2 or 3. And then, like, if 100% effort in all 10 categories is possible, I was choosing 2 or 3 categories to try to go like 80 or 90%. And then the other categories, I was trying to like go 30%. And I failed. Absolutely. That was the most stressful time because I wasn't accomplishing anything really. It felt like that and it was overwhelming. So the first step is going, wow, okay, well, I picked a couple of things that I was involved with and then I dropped them off because I was like, actually, these aren't so important. Gave myself like three categories where I had 30% of effort and now I could raise the bar a little bit in these other places. And it took me nearly 9 months to figure out, wow, this is not going to be possible unless I put 100% effort into all categories. So this is going back to targets and goals. Getting clarity on what was important to me took time, where what we offer in this system is taking that time and compressing it into a few conversations. So, I think it would be a great transition to talk about this mindset when you were referring to the candlesticks and in crypto and investing and just like going, okay, well, once you have your target, you're talking about consistency. This is what maybe we can put a bookmark what I'm talking about and say, hey, consistency is the next aspect. But I think it would be uh, beneficial for you to bring in the part of investing in cryptocurrency for let's talk about setting goals and targets.
Sure. Yeah. One thing I would like to say too, and a good tool to help you figure out what is important to you, make your list. And the first thing you do when you wake up, look at that list.
Right.
And if all of a sudden you feel like, oh, actually, I couldn't care about this today, maybe it's not really supposed to be on that list. Because it's also true that what matters to us most shifts over time. Maybe career, wealth, happiness are super important to you. Then a family member gets sick. All of a sudden, health becomes number one. So the situations in your life, I know that's what happened with me when my dad got sick and passed away. All of a sudden, it was like, whoa, like this is you don't, you think your parents will live forever, not obviously, but you think the people that are in your life are going to be in your life. It's hard for us to really fathom that there is a world that exists without these people, right? And I know there's a lot of people going through stuff out there, but for people that have a perfectly healthy life, in just a snap of an instant, all of a sudden it can be, my priorities have totally shifted. Screw my business, screw this wealth, screw everything. I just need to get healthy because I want to live, right?
Right.
So there's different things and situations in the world that will shift our priorities. Someone who prioritizes wealth, all of a sudden they win the lottery. All of a sudden wealth is not important because now they have the wealth. Now maybe education is more important because they never had time to go learn the things that they wanted to do. They had, so though that list will change. And if you have a whiteboard or something, or just like a nice piece of paper that you stick on the fridge, write those things that are important to you down, 5 or 10, whatever, and have them somewhere where you can see them constantly. And ask yourself every day, are these still the most important things to me? And it's okay if they're not, but you need to at least understand what's important to you. And then you said also something that was very important is that, maybe you implied it, you didn't really say it, but being at peace with your situation.
Right.
Yes, I might not be where I am. Yes, maybe I'm going through a rough patch in my relationship. You were talking about you entered a new relationship, and previously on a podcast you said you had rough go with a previous relationship, as we all do, right? We all have situations that things don't go great. Well, the number one thing that has really helped me in my life is understanding one really important concept. Two, actually. Number one is you can't change people if people don't want to change. And number two is you can't control what somebody says. You can't control their reactions. So a caveat to that is to not build up your expectations about how somebody should react or how a situation should go. Like if you're expecting a reaction from someone, like you have this great idea, you go to your boss, oh, he's going to say this and and if they react a little bit differently, all of a sudden your mood is going to be destroyed for the whole day because you didn't receive what you had been building up in your head. As opposed to going in and looking for a reaction, whether it's an idea, whether it's a date, whether it's an event, just understand the result of what's going to happen after. Just know, I know this is a great idea and this is going to, like, if say I'm bringing a concept to like a boss or something and I bring this cool idea to him and I'm like, he's going to be super excited and blah, 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 blah. And he's not. And he's just kind of nonchalant about it. And that pisses you off. And then maybe you're like, well, this was stupid because he didn't like it. And you throw the idea away. But in reality, maybe he has 1,000 things on his mind that have preoccupied him. This is the last thing he wants to think about. It's an extra thing. And then him being dismissive has nothing to do with him thinking that it's a great idea. And now you've just thrown something out and totally disabled yourself and sabotaged yourself, even though he thought it was a cool idea. It just wasn't his priority at that moment. So you cannot control how other people react around you. If you believe in what you're doing and you believe in the idea you have, just focus on the end result of where you're going, right? And so you can be at peace with that no matter how somebody reacts or how people around me behave, if I fully believe and I know and what I'm doing is right, I know that I'm going to get my result.
Yeah, this is the clarity that you're talking about. That's what makes it easier to shift in a world where like not attaching to the process, but having the outcome in mind and understanding that the process, leaving a gap for uncertainty within the process allows for, this is a spiritual principle, but allows for our ability to manifest what it is we're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then the first part of that was that you can't change people, right?
Right.
This will help you in all aspects of your life. If you have a friend that pisses you off, if you are constantly battling with your spouse, if you have a kid that is combative and not really doing life the way that you thought would be best for them or whatever, I don't want to say give up trying to change people. It's good to encourage people to be able to see things from a different perspective, but you have no control over their life. If they choose to be that way, you have to come to terms with it yourself. Am I okay being in this situation? If it's a spouse or a kid, like, do I love this person? Will I stay in their lives forever? And if the answer is yes, then you have to come to peace with that person is how they are. And you just have to just let some of that onus go, that it's your responsibility to do something, to change in there if they're not listening to you. I don't know if that's, maybe I'm coming off in a wrong way. I want us to help people, but you can't have the onus to make the world to make every single person fit like a better mold or something, right? People are the way that they are, and you have to be at peace with the way they are. Or if you don't want to be in that situation, then you have to take action and you have to remove yourself. So you can't be in the in-between. You can't be like, well, I don't like it and I'm going to try and change them, but I kind of want to stick around. If you don't feel good in a situation and you're not okay to just be at peace with that's the way this is for now, and things might change in the future and I'm going to keep going down my path and hopefully they'll come with me. If you're not willing to be in that position, then just remove yourself. Because you're just going to create a bigger burden for yourself going down the route, and you're going to create more anxiety, which is going to make more stressful decisions, which is going to create more unfortunate events, basically, with your company, with your health, with your wealth, everything.
Yeah. I think that this summed up simply is when we attach ourselves to conditions that are outside of our responsibility, there leaves much room for disappointment. These things are outside of our control, where what can be challenging when dealing with people is feeling like it's our responsibility to provide the change. Where part of what we do here with Boatski TV is allow for people to come into their full potential. And we're ushering them and understanding that regardless of where they are in their journey, like there's a system that works. And sometimes that system requires effort in a personal relationship to gain the benefit in the business. This is like understanding where maybe the business needs to grow, or like taking responsibility for ourselves in a way that just goes, hey, I think that I've been letting myself down. I think more often than not, when we're looking at the world or people in it, and we're choosing, like we're defining someone else's experience through our own lens, oftentimes it's a reflection of what we're feeling about ourselves.
That is you nailed it, man. If you are neglectful in your life and in certain things, that neglect is going to bleed over into the professional, into your business, into your project. Uh, so it really starts internally. It is hard. It's not easy to say I suck at this, or I'm I'm not
Afraid.
qualified to do this and I need help.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
hard to say I need help.
Mm.
Um, and I think the biggest thing when it comes to admitting the things that you need help with and admitting sort of your faults, because we our egos are very strong, right? We have a
Yeah.
perception of, and they're very stubborn. We have a perception of ourselves, of how we are to the outside world, and we have a perception of who other people are. I had a relationship for a long time when I was younger, um, that I realized at the end of that 4 years, I was like, wow, this whole time I've been dating the ego of this person that I had in my mind. So my very first impression of them in the first like 2, 3, 4 months, that was my idea of who this person was. And it was really hard to see how they actually were, because they did a lot of bad things. They were, angry all the time and jealous and freaking out. I ended up losing my whole friend circle because of this girl. And it was like, in my mind it was like, no, but she's great, but she's nice, but she's this, but she's that. And I realized after we parted ways that I had not been dating her, but I had been trying to date her ego. And I've been waiting for her to get back to that impression that I had, without realizing what she actually was. So we do this. We really deceive ourselves, and in all
Well,
situations.
I think that I'd like to make a point because this is a perfect example, and I do intentionally mean to interject at this
Yeah.
point and say, your superpower is being able to see who she was outside of like the conditions and the learned behavior through something that may have been traumatic for her, and why she was acting in this way that was probably more destructive than
Yeah.
obviously connective. But your superpower is that you saw her spirit and you saw who she was outside of all these other conditions. So I'm saying this because we fall into this pattern because we all have this ability of connection and we see the best in people. So I want to make it clear that that is a superpower because it is awareness, and it is defining who we all are, and we're all loving, peaceful energy. And the conditions of the world, sometimes we start to make choices that are not that. But that isn't to say that, oh, this is who that person is. And I'm saying this because it takes a matter of responsibility to go, you know what? I can see who this person truly is. And now I can see how they're acting, and
Yeah.
who they are and how they're acting are two totally different things. That's taking just accountability and responsibility for objective truth and going, okay, well, do I want to maintain a relationship with this person based on the way that they're acting, even though I know that their potential is much higher than where they're at? So this is, I just want to say that you have a superpower to be able to see who people are, and the to bring it back to having goals and setting targets and taking responsibility is going, well, I recognize that this person is not matching my level of consciousness right now, meaning like, hey, I want peace and love in my life, and this person is creating chaos and what the ever the opposite, disconnection.
Mhm. Yeah, it's thank you for saying I have a superpower. It didn't feel like a superpower at the time, because but
Yeah, yeah.
I do appreciate that. One thing that came to my mind when you were saying this, and we'll move on to the next topic here because I want to cover all the stuff that we want to talk about here, is that hope is dangerous, faith is powerful. Hope can be very dangerous. It's not all the time dangerous. Having hope is really important for someone who's going through an ailment, or but I think that you would ask if the difference between somebody going through something difficult is what is stronger, hope or faith. And faith is 1,000 times stronger than hope, because hope means that you know there's a chance of failure. Faith means that you understand that things are going to move a certain way and that everything's going to be okay, whether it's through a religious faith, or whether it's faith in yourself, faith in a system, faith in facts and research that you've done. Having faith and believing in something is way more important and way more powerful than, I hope this will go okay. Because you're already creating that doubt when you say, I hope. And I do this with everyone in my life when they say, well, I hope this job interview will go well, or I hope this. I'm saying, like, don't say that. Say, I know it's going to go well.
Yeah, this is where we go, okay, having the intention of where we want to go and understanding that sometimes the path that we're given is like we're not conscious of what is actually going to happen. So having faith that if we decide this is what we want, then it's a universal principle that we have that. So the road may be like this. We think it's just going to be like from A to B, but then the road is all crazy. We don't know if we're going to go backwards, forwards in a loop or whatever. It's not necessarily a straight line.
Yeah, it's hard to constantly have faith in something, you know. There's a lot of things in the world that happen, and a lot of people around you that make you doubt that faith.
I think that's the most important part of what you just said, though.
Yeah.
This is what I was just talking about on a podcast yesterday, is that if the people around you believe that it's hard to have faith, then what would it be like to be around people who don't believe it's hard to have faith? And how would your life be different if you surrounded yourself with people who had a different set of beliefs? This
Yeah.
is part of taking responsibility of your goals and understanding, how do I do this, is going, well, what am I saying about myself? What is my internal language? And then I go, okay, what are the 5 people I hang out with most? Not that I like the most, not your top 5 best friends. Maybe they live somewhere else. Like literally, quantifiably, who do you spend the most time with? Maybe it's a boss, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's like, I don't know, some guy down the street because for whatever reason, but what do those people believe? And 9 times out of 10, y'all are gonna have similar thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's part of this mindset. So you talked a little bit that it kind of how we're I want to try and skip ahead here because I don't want this to go on for too long. But in changing our mindset and in understanding, becoming at peace with things, understanding what you need to do to accomplish your goals. We also talked about having our list of things that make us happy, that are very important to us, finding a way to get to those. Part of that might include changing that mindset is shedding your group of friends that you hang out with.
Yeah,
Like
doesn't
you
mean
just
not
said.
love it.
No, doesn't mean not
Yeah,
loving them, but shedding them, right? If
yeah.
you've ever noticed, maybe in high school this was more so because we were more prone to
Less
be
aware, less
influenced. We're
aware.
less aware, but more prone to be influenced. I'm sure everyone has experienced this, that you had a group of friends and everyone kind of talked the same way. Like if there was one guy that had like a mannerism like radical, I'm kind of dating myself, but then everyone will start saying that word in that way at certain
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
We are very prone to influence as human beings. We imitate things.
We want a
So
community.
we want a community, and if you're surrounded by people who are satisfied living with their
Like,
parents and mooching off of them,
yeah,
satisfied with a 9 to 5, just grinding and never investing, satisfied in doing overnight shifts and pulling triples and just being exhausted and getting blasted every weekend to the point of like sickness. That's going to be your energy, right? Um,
totally.
I am an avid video gamer. I used to play Counter Strike in some kind of competitive leagues. It's a shooting game, but any game I played soccer competitively too. I would never, you'll never get better if you play with people that are as good as you or worse than you, right? In any sort of competitive sport, you always want to play against people that are better than you because you'll learn from them. You'll realize, oh man, he did that move and he got past me on the pitch. Like, how do I counter that move now, or how do I imitate that move? Like, that's a really sick move. I want to do it. Um, the same thing goes in life, man. If you're hanging out with people that are making the same income as you or making less income than you, how are you going to figure out a way to make more income? How are you going to find a way to optimize your time? How are you going to find a way to multi like use all your be multifaceted and be involved in tons of projects like you, Dalton, or like me? I didn't even really talk about all the projects I'm a part of, but and that's fine. But being taught this narrative, you got to go to school, you got to get your job, and then you got to get your 401k, and you got to, well, you can still do other things, and then maybe that's not your path, and
Right.
then maybe you're discovering your path while you're going through it. So one thing that we wanted to talk about really quickly, I mean, I'm saying really quickly, this is going on, this might be longer than we thought, but underestimating the time it takes to accomplish everything. That's something that is very, very important, right? um and a part of that is what you were saying, that you were only giving 30% and stuff and you were failing. So giving 100% to everything you do, and if that means waking up at 4 in the morning 3 days a week to do some meetings that you don't want to do, and you're a night owl, I'm maybe talking about myself here,
Yeah.
then just do it, right? And if it doesn't work, and if you're not able to accomplish it, then cool. At least you can say, I gave it 100%, right?
Yeah, there's going to be a level of trial and error where, like, we don't have the answers all the time to accomplish things that it's like if you think of Lewis and Clark going out all the way west with Sacagawea, they're explorers in a time where there wasn't maps, they had no idea, or even just like sailing across the ocean if, in whatever civilization that's happened many times, where there's this unknown, and that's what you're seeking is the unknown. But now in the common age, like there are less unknowns because of the internet, because of education. Like somebody could just Google things and there are less unknowns. So how to relate this back to, we're underestimating the amount of effort that it takes to accomplish our visions and our goals. Well, one some things become challenging to understand. Okay, well, if these things are my visions and goals, like, did you include self-preservation in that vision or goal?
Mm,
This is what you're talking about, where it's like, wow, I didn't realize that I'm sacrificing my health. Or is staying up 3 nights a week till 4 in the morning, is that really benefiting my output? Maybe I added 6 more hours of my work to a work week, but because I put those 6 more hours into my work week, now 18 more hours of my work week, I'm only able to show up with 50% of my energy. So
yeah.
is it really a net positive to do that, or is it negative? Even though it seems like we're putting more output, like, is it really benefiting? So what's great about our system is that we have had these trials and tribulations. We have gone through figuring out, how do I take on so much responsibility? How did I filter out things that became a challenge? And this is what we do so expertly, is assess what's happening in your life. we're able to assess your goals and now go, okay, now that we understand your targets and goals, what are going to be the points in your life specifically that are going to create a challenge, and how do we like preventively uh, handle those situations?
Yeah, sorry, I was just grabbing my notes here.
Yeah.
Put them on the main screen. Yeah, and that kind of really segues nicely into how to multiply your wealth, success, and health. Right. So, what's
Mhm.
the optimal way to do it? Now, there is a formula. A lot of people use it. Um, I think the primary part of multiplying your wealth, your success, your health, everything in your life, is to think bigger and to live bigger, right?
Right.
When it comes to money, when it comes to any sort of finance or just funding or whatever, you have a project, you have a business. The big thing here is that money is everywhere, right? I think people
Yeah.
don't realize that. They feel like, oh, I'm so limited. Money is everywhere. We print money every day. You know, the government prints money every day. There's such an abundance of money out there. The problem is people don't know the correct way to go about to acquire that money, to
Right.
acquire that capital. And the biggest thing is that people think they just need to get a job. And I think this is the biggest problem that in mindset that people have. And luckily in the XRPL, people aren't thinking that I just need a job. They actually want to create something. So they segue into this next group, is that in order to generate any sort of wealth or any sort of income, even with a job, you got to do training, right? You have to have value. You have to be able to provide some value. What are you good at? And if you're not good at anything, which I don't believe is true, but if you're sitting there right now and you think, well, I'm not good at anything, look at yourself in the mirror and decide, I'm going to be good at something.
Yeah.
What
Who
am I going
told
to be
you
good
that?
at? Yeah,
Who
first
told
of
you
all, who told you that?
that? Who told you
Second
that,
of
and why
all,
did you believe them?
why don't you just learn something?
Yeah.
You know, you could go to a regular sales job. I think this was who was this that said this? I think this was Grant. I mean, we keep talking about Grant just because he has so many awesome things that and awesome anecdotes that he talks about from his life. And one thing he said is if he started again with just like $300 in his bank account. Oh no, this was Mark Cuban actually. I digress. I remember this. They asked Mark Cuban, how would you make your how would you like build your wealth again if you started with like $300 in the bank? And he said, I would just get a sales job because I know I'm good at sales, and I would learn more about that company than anybody else in that company, anybody else in the world. I would learn about that product. I would understand the business. I would understand everything. I would completely give 100% into that job. And then once I've become the top salesman in the company, I would go to the CEO and say, or go to the boss and say, I want to raise by this much money, or I'm going to leave and I'm going to start my own company and I'm going to compete against you because I know the business better than you.
Mhm.
Maybe that's a little aggressive, but I think it's that sort of mindset that I'm going to give 1,000% to what I'm doing, and I'm going to drive to success and just beat out the competition. That everyone's boss is just they're just human beings, right? If you're working a 9 to 5, your boss is just a human being who got there, whether it's through hard work or whether it's through like just being grandfathered into the company or whatever. There's a great comedian, Pete Holmes, who says this. He says, everybody famous, everybody who's wealthy, everyone who's a billionaire, everyone takes a shit. Everyone
Yeah.
sits down on the toilet and takes a shit, right? They're just normal. They're people just like us, right?
Yeah.
So there should be nothing holding you back from achieving that greatness and setting up that mindset that I'm going to be incredible at what I do, no matter what it is. I'm going to be specialized in something and be the best at it, and then I'll have value to offer in whatever I want to, in whatever path I want to go on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that
Make sure I'm a podcast
this
of this, so you
is
love you.
an easy uh, transition into going, okay, well, how do we take this sort of mindset and apply it to growing wealth for yourself? How do we take this mindset and apply it? Okay, well, we talked about setting targets. We talked about underestimating the amount of effort it would take to accomplish those things. And now we're here where we go, okay, how do we think bigger, right? Thinking bigger, again, this goes back to goals and targets where,
Mhm.
you know, I think this is a time to interject personal identity. Like you said, there's this example of somebody who either believes that they can do it or believes that they can't. So what's the difference? I was having a conversation with Bella, my partner, last night about how come there's like a 1% that can control the mindset of 99%. Whether
Mm.
that's in healthcare, whether that's in like many civilizations through time, conquering each other and doing all these things where it's like, how could like one person or a small group of people create so much power over the majority of others? This can be boiled down to belief in psychology because it's like the belief that we can't do it is more common than the belief that we can. But why? Like, why do we feel like we can't have a life that is full of all the things that we want? It's not to say that everybody wants to be wealthy in a way that, billionaires are wealthy. That's
Yeah.
not, it could be that you want like the most ideal life for you is to have time with your family. So, in order to have time with your family, if you want it to be pleasant, you're probably going to need money to do that in some
Yeah.
way. You're going to need some sort of commodity to be able to provide yourself with the time. So, there's not a right answer to what everyone wants in life, but there is a level of sacrifice and ownership that is required. And to be successful within the realms of a family, it's important for us as leaders in our families to get everybody on the same page, figuring out, well, if our spouse or our partner or our children aren't aware of why we're choosing the path that we're on,
Yeah.
then it creates an incongruency. If you have a partner and a spouse who's always uplifting, like me, I'd think about Bella. I mean, she's always telling me to do better, not because she's judging me, but because she knows that I have a potential. And sometimes I get in my own way and I don't believe that I can do it. So she understands the vision, and picking a partner is an incredibly important aspect of
Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who your partner is, but like getting somebody on your side, because the reality is it's scary to go navigate those waters. We're talking about exploration and accomplishing things that we've never done.
Yeah,
What we
let me interject that a partner does not necessarily mean that they're helping you do what you want to do in everything, right? Let's
Yeah.
just be clear about that. A partner might mean if you can't do certain things, they're the ones picking up the slack and you're picking up their slack. They don't even need to really quote unquote care about what you're doing as long as they are supporting that you're doing it, if that
Yeah, they
makes
don't have to
sense.
have the same purpose. Yeah, it's not that they don't care, and I know that that's not what you meant, but it's that they support your vision and your purpose, and maybe theirs is different. If you have a spouse that their vision is, if you have a wife and her vision is to be with the children, and your vision is to like create real estate and be invested and do all this shit, like she wants to spend time with you and she supports you creating that so you can have again the time to spend with her, and there'll be times where she knows that you're going out and trying to you're in the battle, man, and like you're gonna come home tired on your shield, and you have to set down your shield and your sword, and all you want to do is fall into her arms, and her superpower is to be able to create peace within minutes of her embrace with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, to if you don't have a partner, you're like, well, maybe this is great, but I don't have a partner. This is the whole aspect of Boat Ski TV, and what we're bringing to the table is this nervous system reset for you guys to have that, even if you don't have a partner. And if you did have a partner, like maybe the conversations of work and stress isn't meant for your partner, meaning your spouse. These conversations are meant for people who are experiencing something similar. It's not to say that your spouse can't have it, but maybe it's okay that you have a resource within our system to be able to go, man, this is how I feel. Express yourself. These are the challenges I'm having personally. You'd be surprised that most problems in business start at home.
And most, to add to that, most people want to share what's going on in their life, what's tough. We all vent and talk about stuff. But for a second, take a moment and consider, if you're finding yourself in this situation where your spouse is kind of, you find like their, or your partner or your friend, whoever you talk to about stuff, is maybe a little bit disconnected when you talk about this stuff. Maybe they get frustrated or annoyed sometimes when you talk to them about these things, about the business, about your aspirations, your goals, and whatever. There's a couple things to consider. One, maybe your aspirations and goals and your vision and what you're doing is so large that it frustrates them that they can't do it. So maybe they feel resentment because you're talking about all of it.
Absolutely.
Whether they admit it or not, we're humans, right?
Right.
Number two, maybe they're so worried and stressed about their own stuff that when you unload all these heavy things and concepts and big goals and all these big concepts and all these big problems to them, they feel even more stressed out, and they start associating you with that stress, right? Because they
Right.
just can't process that stuff because they're dealing with their own stuff. um
Mhm.
Certain people have more brain capacity for this stuff than others, and that's not to say people are more stupid. It's just, if I'm overwhelmed already with things, I know sometimes I'm just like, okay, actually don't talk to me about that now. Just give me like an hour and I'll finish this stuff, and then we can tackle it right away. But if that person lacks that communication skill to say, hey, right now is not a good time because of XYZ, they just are silent because they want to be a good friend or a good partner or a good whatever, that actually creates tension, and it creates more of a problem, right?
Yeah, and this is the whole thing about what's beneficial to be involved with our business and our community is because you can communicate with us and we're gonna pull you up. You know what I mean? If you're overboard, we're gonna reach out our hand and we're gonna pull you back in.
Yeah, we've
This is
been
the
there.
benefit.
We've done it.
Yeah,
We've been there. We've done it.
right, right. So this is the whole thing where when your vision is to experience the highest levels of peace and understanding, an ability to take on many endeavors because your vision is massive. Like, this is who we are. We are people who are capable and are actively working within this space. Everybody has the same amount of time in the day. So, what's the difference between somebody who's like having an incredibly challenging life and the person who's a, like Tony Robbins has got like over 170 companies. Like, he owns them. Like, we have the same amount of time in the day. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to do four things. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and he still has time to
He-
poop. Well,
yeah, he still has time to poop. Exactly.
all right, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he's got like a little helmet back there. He just
Yeah,
fills
yeah,
it
yeah,
up.
right. Just deposits everything and empties it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
um, yeah, this is exactly the sort of stuff that we teach, and we have a system and a method that'll get everybody lined up, get everybody feeling super positive. And you know what? It's simple. It's like when you ride a bike, right? I mean, maybe this is a bad example, but if there's a young kid who comes up and says, well, how do you do that? How do you ride that bike? And you say, well, it's easy. Well, yes, it's easy for you because you've done it and you've fallen 1,000 times. But for
Yeah.
that kid who's never ridden the bike before, it's incredibly hard. They don't even know the first step to getting on the bike properly. to finding
Yeah.
your balance, to pedal in rhythm, to make sure the handlebars aren't going back and forth, to keep your eyes not down but straight ahead of you. Biggest thing that I'll ever remember when I did my driving course. So when I was 16 years old, I was doing my driving exam. The driving instructor got so mad at me because I was looking immediately ahead of the car. And he said, you need to look at the end of the road of where you're going. And this is
Yeah.
such a great thing to think
Analogy.
about, especially when we're talking about life, right? This anecdote is that we can't be looking to tomorrow, to the end of the month, to the end of the year. We want to be thinking 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. I know that's tough for some people who may be living paycheck to paycheck, but try and shift your mindset to think of, I know that paycheck to paycheck is going to happen. This is a reality that I'm living in. Be at peace with it, right? Find your peace in the situation. Embrace the situation. Instead of fighting the currents, flow with the current, and then figure out where's the fork in the river that I can flow down another path. But in order to see where the river forks away, you need to be looking downstream.
Right.
If you're just looking immediately ahead of you, trying to struggle, trying to stay above water, all the foam of those rapids is going to block your vision, and you're not going to see that path going
Yeah.
along to the left or going along to the right. There's a little bit of a Bible tale. I don't want to make this religious really, but it's a fun story, and it applies to everything and to everybody in life. Is there's a man that's caught in a huge flood in a hurricane, and he's on top of his house. He finally climbed up to the top. He's wet. He's soaking wet. And he gets on his knees and he starts fervently praying, like, please God, praying, please God, help me. I need help. Save my life. I don't want to die. And some guy is floating along in like just a broken piece of wood, and he's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, are you okay? He says, I'm fine, I'm on this piece of wood. And he said, come on, do you want to come on, get on with me? I don't know where the river is going to go, but get on with me. And he says, no, it's fine. I'm praying God's going to come help me. The guy floats off, and then a little dinghy boat comes up, and a group of like 5-6 people, and they're all cold and wet, and they're floating by too, and they say, we got into this boat, we're alive, are you okay? Do you have, no, I don't have food, but I'm here, and I don't need to get in the boat, don't worry, I'm praying for God's gonna help me. And then the rescue teams come out. A helicopter comes out, starts dropping rations, turns to him and yells, are you okay? Like, do you need a lift up here? Like, I know the water will go down soon, but, and he says, no, I'm fine. I'm praying. God's going to come help me. And the guy dies. And then he faces God and he says, God, like, I was praying to you. Why didn't you help me? And he said, well, I sent that asshole on the raft. I sent the dinghy boat and I sent the helicopter. What else do you want me to do? So oftentimes, if we're not paying attention and looking around ourselves to what's going on in life and what sort of opportunities there are, maybe somebody just says something nonchalantly about something that they do, a business that they do, or whatever. Instead of thinking, "Wow, that's I wish I could do that. Like that's so incredible," or being jealous and, man, that guy's so lucky, he makes so much money. Maybe just ask them, like, "Hey, I want to learn more. What would it take for me to be a part of that? Would you be willing to talk to me about what you do? Would you just communicating with people, reaching out, asking for help?" That's the basic thing, right? Asking for help is so hard. We're so stubborn and we're so prideful that we're going to do it ourselves. Or sometimes we're sabotaging and we think, I don't deserve that success.
Yeah.
And
Who
whether
taught
we
you?
realize that we say that or not, that's sometimes, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Sometimes we do self-sabotage ourselves. The moment we're about to have success, we terrorize ourselves and we sabotage it, either with our health or with our mindset or with getting in a conflict on purpose, to try and not let ourselves feel that. I mean, success is scary, right? If you become successful and you're starting to accelerate towards your goal, there's not a lot of people that can relate to that, right?
Right.
Success is a
Right.
lonely road. Like we said, you're gonna shed friends, you're gonna shed acquaintances, and you're gonna have to be dedicated 1,000%, and you're gonna have to move down this path aggressively to get to where you want to be. There's not a lot of people that are gonna run that fast with you.
Well, so I totally agree with probability, and I'm going to interject as if I'm hearing Grant Cardone's voice in my ear right now, just because I've spent quite a bit of time with him, and I just a couple weeks ago I spent 90 minutes. I was 3 feet from him, And, I think this is perfect. And I'm not saying this to call you out in any way, but the mindset of, okay, well, it could be true that it is lonely. It could be true that it's hard. And not to say, listen, like, hey, I've felt that emotion, absolutely. But now I pose a question, how much of that was created in my mind versus how much of that is it really? How much of the loneliness is self-created versus not? I think that we are conditioned to believe that it's that way because many people feel lonely as an ideology.
Hmm.
They feel misunderstood. So, are there less people who have had massive amounts of success? Absolutely. I know that Grant Cardone would argue that it is not more lonely at the top. He's able to meet people all over the world now. He's got
And this
friends
was
everywhere.
going to be, this was where I was going to be going with it. You kind of interject, and that's fine. Is I was going to say you're going to feel lonely moving forward because you're stripping away all these the clutter, right? The 9 to 5 people, the people who are upset, the people who are just want to do their job and keep their head down. And you're going to feel lonely for a time breaking free. But then you're going to look around and there's going to be all these other people running just as fast as you, running faster than you, and you're going to find a new community that's going to come together with people that have the same mindset and ideals. And this is why me going to this seminar was so life changing for me, because
There's so many people. I mean,
it
hundreds.
was the people.
Yeah,
It was the
yeah,
people. It was and everybody was so, even if people didn't have like multi-million-dollar businesses and they were just starting out, they were like so engaged. They wanted to know everything about you. They wanted to tell you about them. They wanted to offer their support. Even the
yeah.
people who had $100 million companies. I heard one guy talking to a dude who was just doing a startup, and he said, "Yeah, well, we just broke like 40,000 this year." And the $100 million guy said, "Congratulations on your success. That is incredible that you've gotten that far so far." He didn't say,
Yeah.
that's nothing. Like, you're not even worth my time. He was so supportive and he was so encouraging, and it was just a room filled with that energy. And that's what I'm getting at, is that all those people at one point when they had their great idea to break free and do something big felt lonely, because they would most likely have to start it alone. And then
Yeah.
we get to the point where I say you got to ask for help. And when you ask for help, you realize there's a lot of people out here that are in the same boat, that create a community that is not lonely, that creates a
Yeah.
very supportive community that is all driving towards one thing.
For me, there's a massive value on the words that I choose within my entire responsibility system. Words are powerful, and like the difference between needing something and wanting something is
Mm.
a different emotional reference point.
Say
Need
that again. Say that again so people really listen to that.
Right. The difference between needing something and wanting something is the emotion that we associate with that word. When you need help, it's out of a state of, most of the time, maybe not an absolute, but most of the time I would argue that it's coming from a state of confusion, scarcity, uh, and that's it, fear. So ultimately, fear would be the emotion of need. And the emotion of desire and want comes from the opposite, where you have, this is coming from a place of abundance. I want help. I also have I choose not to use the word deserve or
Mm-hmm.
worthy, because if I deserve success, then the opposite must also be true,
Mm-hmm.
that I wouldn't deserve success. And the challenge with the belief system that you could be worthy or deserving of something creates a transaction. And this is again bringing it back to a spiritual principle where you can choose what you want to believe. I know that if you chose to believe that you have a divine inheritance and that you have the ability to create a life that you want, then everything is possible. If you're coming from that reference point, then there's no deserving or worth because it's already your inheritance. Just from being alive, you have the ability to create that. If you chose that belief, then you release fear.
Yeah. There's a concept out there that I heard a philosopher talking about. I can't remember his name. I just go through so much like YouTube slop and so many good videos too that they all get muddled. But there was a great concept that um, the universe is neither inherently good or evil. It just is, right?
Right.
It's just a mirror. It's a sounding board. It's energy. It's continuous, right? Energy can't be created or destroyed. It just continues to exist no matter what. It just gets transformed into something. So I know that we're living in a world where there's lots of evil things happening, a lot of death, a lot of destruction. And this concept, though, this philosophical, it's a very abstract concept, is that destruction is neither inherently good or evil, right? Even though we associate people doing there are people that do awful things in the world as evil on an energetic scale, it just is, right?
Right.
And
It's
quantum
energy.
physics kind of reflects this. I talked a little bit about this last night at the Friday Fiesta. We got off topic, but I used to study astrophysics, so I look at a lot of astrophysics journals and new concepts and stuff that come out because I'm very fascinated by it all. And there was a new concept and proof that came out that essentially the past does not affect the present. It's actually the future that affects the present. Let me say that again. The past does not affect the present. The future affects the present. This is what the math showed in quantum physics. Now, this has to do with quantum entanglement and multiverses and all this sort of stuff. But so we don't need to get into details. I'm not, like, even though I studied it, I'm not an astrophysicist. I couldn't explain to you exactly how that works. But this is very important because all of a sudden, our image of ourselves and what we believe that we're going to be successful in, the life that we believe we're going to live, everything we've talked about, everything you've talked about, what's important to you? What does success look like to you? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Are the people around me the people that are they building me up, or are they pulling me down? Where will those people be? And this is the other thing. Think about your friends. Where will my friend circle be in 20 years? I don't think we think about that. And we just hang out with them in the moment. We're just living in the present. But if where they're going to be in 20 years is not where you want to be in 20 years, we got to rethink some things, right? So envisioning and placing yourself in that future position of where you want to be is going to affect your behavior and going to affect everything now. Absolutely everything. I'll tell a very quick story. I know we're really going over here, but I'll tell a quick story in that I wanted to get into real estate, and I was watching a bunch of Grant's videos, and I had a deal that came up. It was an apartment complex, like about 800,000, and I know people are like, "What? 800,000 for an apartment complex? Real estate's cheap where I live." But that was a lot of money, right? It's like, well, how am I going to get 800K? Whatever. But let me look at it. It was reasonable. I could get it. I can put the down payment down, whatever. I went on to one of his live webinars, and I got to ask him a question personally, and I talked about the deal. I brought everything up, and he said, "That's a horseshit deal. Don't take it." And I asked him why, and he explained. Essentially, there was no urgency in the seller. He felt like it was overpriced. There was a lot of work to be done on it, and there's just a whole bunch of things. He said, that being said, you also need to think bigger. You need to be looking at a 10, 20, $30 million building. I was like, okay, dude, sure. Yeah, I could barely put together like $1 million to buy this as an investment property. How am I going to do that? Nevertheless, I turned that deal down, and I just started visiting 10, 15, $30 million buildings. Just there's not many here, but like the higher value buildings, the things that are like $20 million building, yes, 30 million, no, but in the teens, right? And in just visiting them and walking around, I was like, okay, well, forget how I'm going to get the money. What could I do with this place if I got it? well, what would be a good concept? I was just running through it in my head. What would I do here? What would I improve? And I would tour him, and I was establishing a relationship with this real estate agent. And then one day he calls me and says, hey, somebody also wants to look at this property. Do you guys mind if you look at it together? My times, you guys might get along, and my
Yeah.
times to book are kind of slammed. I don't really have a lot of time. I said, sure. Well, we really hit it off, me and this guy, and he's a hotel. He used to own a ton of hotels, and we became really good friends, and he wanted to partner with me. Fast forward to now, he now owns a $20 million hotel in town that I'm a partner with in many respects. And through that deal, while I was actually at the 10X Summit, I got a phone call from someone being like, hey, I got your number from this guy, from this architect. He knows the dude that you're working with on the hotel, and he said that you might be the right guy for me to build a $25 million equity fund with. And I was like, okay. Like, what? So just and then through that also I met you, and it's so just putting myself in a position where I was being in this bigger situation that, or owning something that I didn't think that I could own, but I wanted to own in the future. Just putting myself in my shoes in the future of, this is my building, what am I going to do with it? Opened all these doors for me. And I barely did any effort. That my effort was just getting over my insecurity or my lack of knowledge of how to accomplish the task. I just put myself in the position. I put myself in the situation.
Yeah. Well, this is so. I want to talk about our brain. So I studied nervous system for nearly a decade now, and human behavior. One thing that's fascinating about our brain is that the same parts of our brain that imagine the world and perceive the world, it's the same
The
part of our
same.
brain. So, like our eyes, our smell, our feel, like the taste, all of it uh, is processed in the same way that if you just close your eyes, imagine you're on a beach somewhere, smelling the ocean, that salt, you could feel your toes in the sand, that cool breeze that comes in, mixed with that heat of the sun. Like my brain is there right now. It doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know that I'm sitting in an apartment in Atlanta in that time when I'm closing my eyes and feeling the cold breeze, feeling the sun, it's tasting and coconut water. Your brain doesn't understand the difference. So this is what you're saying of the future affects can affect the present. It's the idea of the future. You're putting yourself in a position to be around that energy. So vicariously, you go, well, I want to have $30 million ownership energy, so I'm not going to go into the $800,000 apartment because that apartment has a frequency in this world. I'm sitting in I'm sure, a multi three-figure $1 million building right now. It's in Buckhead, Atlanta. It's one of the most highly rated apartment complexes you could be in. And this energy, so whoever owns this building came in here or created it or something. Like there is a different energy in this building than the apartments at my chiropractic school. Like absolutely, people smoking, throwing beer bottles everywhere. Here we have community events, they're networking. You have Google executives living in, these, 13, $17,000 a month building, apartments. The energy is totally different. So, like you're saying, like putting yourself around people, they have ideas, and most of them were in our shoes. Most of them, were in a place where maybe they're an immigrant, maybe they were a janitor, a lot of people who have immense wealth came from zero. So, like, they have the ideas. They go, hey, I had no money. This is why Grant Cardone's like, it doesn't matter if you have the money or not. You're putting yourself in a situation and you're trying to solve a different problem. You can't walk into a $30 million building with an $800,000 building mindset. But when you get into that $300 million building, you have to say to yourself, how is this possible? Not, I can't handle this right now. Well,
Yes,
that
working
was true.
backwards, right? Working
Yeah,
backwards. And this
right.
is what we teach in our crypto empowerment system too, to optimize your business. What is your business's goal? How much money do you want to make? Oftentimes you're like, well, I just want this project to go well. I just want this NFT to mint out, blah, 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 blah. But what's the number? Is
What
it a
kind of life
million
do you want?
dollars?
How do
Is
you
it
want to
10
live?
million? Yeah, exactly. What income do you want to make, and what do you want the business to make? And then you can start working backwards and figure out, well, how do I accomplish that? Now that I have a physical number, how do I go backwards, and what baby steps do I need to do to get there? And you also said something very important in that energy in that building is totally different. I think this is a testament to, if you create something with certain values, standards, energy, the community will come, because there's 6 billion people in the world. Those like-minded individuals will find you, but you have to be genuine. If you're not genuine, everybody will know. This is the one biggest thing I took away from opera, acting on stage and singing. If someone just steps on stage and just sings something from memory, you're going to tell that maybe they don't know what they're talking about. You're going to tell that their soul isn't in it. You might not be able to specifically identify that, because some people are good at faking it. But if you put two people side by side singing the same piece, one is fully immersed in it and living it, and the other one is just reciting it and remembering it, you're going to be able to tell the difference between who's a better singer.
Totally.
And the same thing goes for your project. If you're not fully invested in it, believe in it, passionate about it, and you want to spread that passion infectiously to everybody, they're going to feel that they're not going to want a part of your project, because it's going to feel disingenuous. So this is something that we teach at the Crypto Empowerment System, is how to incorporate that fiery energy into your project, how to be incredibly and explicitly clear about what your project is, what milestones you need to hit to get that success, and then provide you the tools to be able to do that. Because a lot of people, they get to the point, I want to make this much money, this is the kind of life I want, I don't know how to do it, and then they give up.
Right. This is the whole thing where you go, okay, well, what is the mindset of the people that we work with? Maybe you want more sales. Maybe you think that you need marketing. Maybe you think that you need a better website. Maybe you think that you don't know how to advertise. Maybe you don't know how to build the system. Like maybe you're looking for an education. And the reason that this podcast is focused so much more on mindset is because all these things are automatic. After you take responsibility for yourself and you open up the realm of possibility in your mind, like the reason that we are so different is because we are acknowledging our power as human beings and spiritual beings in that sense, where you go, if I walk into the $30 million building, then God will provide the rest. If you have
Yeah.
no if you're not like wanting to acknowledge spirituality, there's nothing wrong with that. If you walk into a $30 million building, it's a different atmosphere than if you walk into a $50,000 building. It's not the same thing.
And it's different people too, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
owners, the people living there, they've already had that success, so their mindset is already different. Just on like
Right.
on a basic level, right? They're not thinking that that's a lot of money. They've understood how to recreate that flywheel of generating that income constantly for themselves. Go learn from those people. Knock on their doors. Ask that, like, hey, how did you earn your wealth? Like,
And
just give me some advice, or like just reach out to people, ask for help.
not being afraid to invest in the community. Like I chose this apartment complex because I knew that everyone around me is affluent. Like you can't live in this apartment complex without a certain amount of income. And so I also knew that this apartment complex would provide opportunity for me. Where, we've made a couple of deals. People talk about all the deals that they're making in business. That happened. I said I wanted that. And I wrote down my goals of how I wanted the environment to be where I lived. I said I want people to be supportive of each other's businesses. Literally the first day I walk in here, we're scrolling through all the apartments that they have available. I'm asking people in the apartment complex, what's it like to live here? How this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, what about business? The guy's like, I've literally closed 5 deals, five-figure deals with people in this apartment complex, and now I have new partners. So like having clarity on the vision that I wanted, like I didn't have a business that was making money. I had an idea of the life I wanted to live, and I go, okay, well, who's living that life? Like I want to put myself, not need, I want to put myself in a place where I'm, this is just going to like transfer to me. every time I walk past the guy at the front desk, he's like giving me high fives. Like I'm putting myself in a position where people are also going to lift me up on the hardest days that I have. That's what this crypto empowerment system is so beneficial because you don't have to rely on yourself. You don't have to rely on your spouse. You don't have to rely on your business partner. We can share the wins. We start each call with wins. We start
Yeah.
each day with mindset. We got affirmations for you to help. I don't know how to think bigger. That's okay. Join this. Invest in yourself. I've spent six figures in the past 1 year, even though I had a business that was making $0 at
Yeah.
one point. I'm like, I'm willing to use the bank's money and their assets to go, well, I want to learn and I'm going to triple down on myself. And now look, within months, we have a profitable business. We're created, uh, I think we're in two or three new ventures in just the last month. Like, I mean, the amount of doors that have opened up since I just like full on committed, you know, 50 grand into education, into the community, into showing up to these spaces in the 10X community for sure, and the XRP space. Like, it happens when you choose the life that you want. You figure out, how do I get around people who are like absolutely raising the bar? This is what we have, the XRP Vegas. We're
Yeah.
bringing Grant Cardone's 10X Super Life live event. So you go, how do I do this? I'll teach you.
Oh, I guess we're doing some alpha. I actually didn't talk about that yet. That's something that we can I'm glad you brought it up because I did want to bring it up. So what we're going to be doing, everybody, is super exciting. If you guys know about what we're doing at XRP Las Vegas, whoops, I just posted a code there. I didn't mean to do that yet. That link. Okay, let's talk about that first. That link is for our free webinar that's happening this Monday. Okay, you can join it. It's totally free. March 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to teach a chapter of our crypto empowerment system. So we're going to incorporate everything we just talked about today, and we are going to show you how to blend this with the metaverse, how to pull the decentralized currency and crypto into your business, or vice versa. If you don't have a brick and mortar, how to capitalize on brick and mortar concepts. You know, like just standard sales and marketing. That stuff. It doesn't matter how advanced you're getting. The basics of sales will remain the same. Sales, everything in life is sales. Talking to your partner about what to do for dinner, that's sales. You're trying to sell them. My idea is better than yours, right?
Yeah.
Negotiating and car repair, whatever. Sales. Everything in life is sales, and everything in life is marketing, promoting your image of who you are to people. So we're going to show you how to incorporate those concepts into the digital world, or vice versa, the digital world into your brick and mortar. I think it's super important that we blend the two, and we're going to talk about that more in our free webinar. If you sign up right now and type the word crypto into the message on our sign up sheet, the little message box, you are going to get Dalton's free, I think it's called Mindset Affirmations or Affirmation Package. It's
Daily affirmations, yep. All in affirmation packages, yep.
daily affirmation packages. It's over $100 value. You're going to get that free, 100% free. It'll just be, I think you just register via your phone, and then it texts you some amazing affirmations every single morning. I use them. They're really, really awesome. It's a really amazing program that you put together. That's going to be yours for free if you guys sign up to the webinar right now. And what we're also going to do at the webinar after we talk about that chapter about incorporating marketing, sales, and all that stuff into your business, and optimizing it, we are going to open the field for questions. So questions about your project, about your business, give you some solutions. You can ask us anything. It's a totally open forum. We're going to be doing this pretty regularly. You don't have to pay and buy our system to get help from us. We want to help you. Right.
Yeah.
And we want to offer opportunities for you guys to put your concerns on the table, to have them addressed. Like we said, to have that ear that'll be able to help you with your problems. Don't burden the people who don't want to be burdened with it in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So back to the XRP Las Vegas. So what I wanted to say before I accidentally posted that link too early, on Friday, May 1st, Coffee and Crypto, hosted by Stone, is going to be held live in a coffee shop at Vegas. We're going to live stream it. You can get on it on Spaces like normal. We're also going to live stream it, and we're going to have a live audience. And right after that's done, we are going to do a free session for you guys. It's going to be the 10x Super Life. Is that correct, Dalton?
The 10x Super Life. This is a Grant Cardone. It's exactly the same workshop that Grant Cardone teaches. So you'll get a workbook, a digital copy of the workbook that you guys can fill out while we're going through it. If you got an iPad, you can bring that. If you got a laptop, you can bring that. But you will have I believe it's 110-page workbook
Mm-hmm.
to systematize how to build a vision that is unlimited, and what are the roadblocks that typically hang people up on that path.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this. This is going to be super, super cool. This is one of the benefits of having Dalton part of the crypto empowerment system and the Botsky TV team, is that we get access to all of Grant Cardone's amazing business material.
Yeah.
We
Selling,
can
marketing,
exactly.
finances, wealth. I mean, the laundry list, it goes on. It's incredible. Phone skills, how to build a team,
Sales scripts, right? Full sales
sales.
script.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sales scripts. How much revenue does your business make correlated to how many people you should have working in your business if you have a healthy business, figuring
Mm-hmm.
out what percentage of revenue goes to X, Y, and Z. Like everything is systematized. You don't have to
Yeah.
think. This is the whole point of why this crypto empowerment system is awesome. And I know that we're touching on this less, so maybe the next podcast we can go
Yeah.
more into like the nuts and bolts. We talked about the philosophy of what we're doing today, and it's going to be easy to just go into, okay, well, the system is automatic. This is why we're saying, hey guys,
Yeah.
the 10x Super Life, that's the target first. Once you understand where you want to go, we're working backwards. This is the $30 million building and working backwards. This is going, I want to make $10 million a year to create this uh, lifestyle for my family and erase generational debt,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly. This is there's so many opportunities for you guys to engage. There's free opportunities. We have just the course on its own. We have little consulting sessions where we do group calls once a week. We get more involved with your business that way, and we kind of run it down and do a report and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to get too much into detail. Like Dalton said, we'll do that next time. And then of course we have a full blown white glove service where we help you revamp your business, and we work with you one-on-one, and you get a ton of other cool stuff with it. You get some Grant Cardone stuff. You get some of our resources, our automations, our systems that we set up for our business. And so we can help. We are so confident that we can help anybody's business and anybody's personal life, even if it's just your life, for personal coaching. I think this stuff is so powerful. We are incredibly confident that we can
Right.
10x. I mean, as Dalton would say, he's a part of that club. We can multiply your life 10, 100, 1,000 fold, and your business by the same metric.
Right. Yeah. Hey, also the 10x Super Life, if you purchased it through Grant Cardone as just like an online webinar, is the $1,000 value, and we're giving that complimentary for the XRP space.
Totally free, and that's going to be live streamed too. Or recorded, and we'll put it up. I'm trying to figure out exactly we're trying to schedule with the recording engineers there, so with the video crew. So we will update you with that on our X page, Botsky TV. Our YouTube is also Botsky TV. I think the Instagram is changed too. There's a couple Botsky musics out there that I'm trying to optimize and change, but I think Twitch is still Botsky Music because we have to wait a certain amount of days before you can change it or whatever. But if you just look up Botsky TV, you will find us somewhere. Or look up Dalton Rios too. He's got his own webpage. We can plug that. What is it? DaltonRios.com?
Sure is. That's it.
DaltonRios.com. Let me just type that in the chat there so you guys can visit him as well. He has his own personal products that he gives. Great mindset specialist. I mean, you heard him talk today. He's got all the right things, and he has all the right ways to be successful and all the right tools. And this is the great thing, is there's no mumbo jumbo here. I know we talked a lot about philosophy. We talked a lot about concepts of what we are trying to do. but there's a cookie cutter repeatable process to achieve all these things.
Yeah.
There's no guesswork up to you.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
guesswork. There's worksheets, there's workbooks, there's steps you can take, there's affirmations you can give yourself, and there's even ways to track your progress. This is all stuff that's put down
Measurable.
into a science. I mean, I use the 10x scheduler every single day. I love it. You break your day down by the hours, you write your goals, you write your targets, you write your failures, you write your successes. It really forces you to analyze yourself and to really
Yeah.
think about, what am I doing right? And if there's a day that you don't fill it out, or like you fill half of it out, I write down why I failed. Why did I fail writing this out? Why we have to analyze ourselves and be very objective.
Yeah. Hey, it's part of the process. So
Um, we've been on for an hour and 35. It went by like nothing. I woke up dreading doing the podcast this morning because my kid kept me up all night, and but this was great. The time just flew by. I had a lot of fun. We're looking forward to doing more of these podcasts with you guys to give you information about our business and our model and how we can help you, and all the free content that we're giving as well. But this isn't going to be limited just to us. I have a lot of special guests that I'm planning to have on. I have a financial and investment specialist who's going to be coming in and talk about risk management. I have a real estate mogul who's going to come in and be talking about the importance of how you manage your real estate, doing the research before you get into real estate, understanding your goals when it comes to investing, and what you should be aware of in the current real estate markets. I believe everybody, just like Grant, not just because it's him, but everybody should have some sort of hard asset. Okay. You can rent for a time if you have a plan, but you need to own some physical and some hard assets, as well as doing your digital stuff as well. There's a great tie-in there with real estate and crypto, and even with your brick and mortars soon, with all the legislation that's passing. I wouldn't be surprised if crypto transactions were in every single business in the next like 5 years. Really, truly.
yeah.
So with that being said, let's just remember what we talked about today. We talked about mindset. It starts with yourself first. It starts with understanding what you want, who you are, understanding the people around you, the situation that you're in, being at peace with it, and having a plan for change.
Yeah.
Anything else that you'd like to say, Dalton?
Hey guys, we'll see you in the next one. Get your tickets to the webinar. It's the values there. Get your tickets to XRP Vegas. It'll pay for itself.
Awesome. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Yeah.
A good night. A good day.